Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with Spider.
Hello, everybody. Spider here once again, Coming Soon podcast, coming to you from Texas with my guest, Andrew de Burgh. My man, how are you doing today, bro?
I'm good, Mary. Thanks for having me on, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, brother. Now, of course, I am in Texas. You're in California, correct?
I am, yeah.
Okay. And as far as living, what city are you in?
I'm in Orange County right now.
Okay. And of course, man, because you are you have pretty much done it all when it comes to being an actor, a writer, a director. When did all this begin for you, man?
So it actually started like when I was a kid. I was just obsessed with movies ever since I was really young. Like Star Wars, Phantom Menace was one of my favorites growing up, and like Small Soldiers. And then I just like started renting movies. I actually grew up in Spain, so I used to go to a video store near where I lived and just rented loads of movies growing up.
Oh, nice, man. And of course, I mean, you speak Spanish.
So, yeah.
You probably speak better Spanish than myself. I grew up, that was my primary language growing up here in San Antonio. But like I mentioned earlier, I mean, I'm in Texas, so it's a little what they call Tex-Mex, right?
Yeah, that's a cuisine too, right? Tex-Mex.
Oh, yes, sir. Now, man, of course, having moved, I mean, how old were you when you guys moved to, was it California you guys moved to right away?
California, yeah. So I was 16.
Okay. Man, and how was was there a culture shock when you moved over here?
Yeah, I mean, I had lived in like England and India, so I was lucky to like live in other countries, and yeah, America's been great for me, man. It's been very welcoming since it's been what 18 years now, so.
Oh, nice, brother,
nice time.
And of course, I mean, having watched movies growing up, I mean, of course, we all have that one movie that we wish we could kind of be in. As a kid, I mean, was Star Wars one that you always wanted to be in when it came to movies?
Star Wars, and yeah, Batman Begins was another one. Like,
yeah,
that was one of my. And then I guess like later on as a teenager, I got more into horror, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Trick or Treat, The Shining, all the classics, man.
Nice. And of course, man, because I mean, you've done a few projects. I mean, a couple of short films. When you first started filming, was your short the first one that you ever worked on, or did you do other ones that aren't on IMDb?
Yeah, so I did. My first professional film was Just One Drink in 2015. Yeah. That was a short film. Barbara Nedijakova from Hostel was in it, actually.
Nice.
She was amazing to work with.
Yeah. And I mean, with people like that, I mean, what was it? What were the connections that you had? I mean, of course, you're in California, but did your family just happen to know people?
No, not at all, actually. Like, I'm not from an influential family, and like, I just kind of got lucky. Like, I had a role in a film with her. Like, I had 2 lines in a horror movie, and then I just approached her. I was like, "Yeah, I have this low budget short film I'm trying to do. Like, I think it's a great role for you." And she was great. She was like, she was totally fine with me being like a newcomer director and was really down to earth, easy, chill.
Man, that's actually pretty amazing because I would imagine, I mean, we all got to start off somewhere, so I would imagine somebody kind of like, yeah, you know what, I'll do this for you because, I mean, I'm sure at one point nobody, you know what I mean? Like they have to work their way up too. So that makes sense. That's pretty great though.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I'm a big believer that like one should be humble no matter how successful they become. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, throughout the years, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I've been doing combat sports for over 15 years. I have a podcast where I actually interview fighters, promoters, matchmakers, all that great stuff. But I mean, with this alone, I've been doing this for like a year and a few months, and I've met a lot of great people, man. I've met a lot of great here locally, in San Antonio when it comes to directors. Actors, there's a few that kind of work with their own, which is fine. They got their group that they can trust and everything else. But for the most part, everybody's been pretty compliant, pretty, you know what I mean? As far as like borrowing actors, from locations that they've shot at, they kind of share the same locations. Hey, there's just, you know what I mean? So it's kind of cool that they have that camaraderie, I mean,
that's amazing, man. Isn't Austin big for filmmaking?
It is, and the way, like I'm in San Antonio, and like what I tell people, like a lot of people from California moved over here. So we've got actors, we've got directors, we've got martial artists. Because of that, we've gotten a lot of big. We've gotten a good push. We have our own film festivals here. There's a lot of culture when it comes to filmmaking here in San Antonio, but Austin is it's they're pretty much known for like film and music, man. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's just like an hour away from here, so it's not too far.
That's amazing. Do you know where they shot From Dusk Till Dawn? Was that Texas?
It was in Texas, and I believe that was a small town on the border town. I believe. Don't quote me on that because I know I had read that somewhere, and somebody was like, "Yeah, that was some border town off South Texas, I believe." Man, don't correct me. I can't be 100, but a lot of great films have been filmed out here. A lot of indie films, of course, but I mean, when it comes to big movies, I mean, Sandra Bullock's in Austin. We've got actors
Oh,
are
really?
living there, so of course they kind of keep it local. And from what I hear, I mean, I don't know how filmmaking is in California, but I mean, I think everything gets taxed everywhere. But here, from what I've heard, a lot of the movie makers don't have that tax on top of what they're doing to be able to make films. So
Yeah, I mean, California's just expensive in general, man. Like,
yeah.
it's a very expensive place to live.
No, yes. I was a postal employee 15 years, and a lot of transfer were from California, New York, and they're like, man, like out there we're paying like 3,000, for a month for a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, and over here they're buying houses like nothing, or you know what I mean? They're still up there
Yeah.
compared to man. So the cost of living definitely a lot lower over here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about leaving California to go somewhere more affordable. We'll see.
Man, my neighbor just moved out, bro. I'll
Really?
hook you up, man. No, but yeah, man. I mean, Texas. I mean, it seems to be a hot spot. For the past 2 years after COVID, a lot of people started moving out here, and coincidentally, when COVID started, it actually started here in San Antonio, bro. It started at
Really?
Lackland Air Force Base, which is like a couple of miles south of me. But nothing I'm proud of. But it's just it happened here, and then after that, like the whole world shut down and everything went. Um, Pretty bad for a lot of people, man. Bad times.
Yeah, very sad, man.
Now, of course, man. Being a writer, I mean, you are credited for writing, of course. When did that start as well? As a kid, or how long have you been writing?
Yeah, I guess I was like always good in like even high school and college. Like I always got good grades on essays. Like I was interested in writing, but I guess professionally until Just One Drink, that was the first like screenplay. Like I wrote in college like acting classes, but they were more monologues and like I did really like short skits, short films and stuff.
Right.
But Just One Drink, I guess, was my first like professional screenplay that I wrote.
Nice, man. And I mean, of course, when it comes to experience, I mean, who in the family's the actor or writer, or who influenced you to do this?
No one in the family, to be honest. It was just my love of movies. Like I just love watching movies. Like I'm always reading about movies, watching them. I'm on Tubi, always looking for like a new Korean film to watch or something. So
Man, and of course, was that one of those things where you're watching a movie and I was like, and you asked yourself, like, man, I can do that.
yeah, I think I was like when I saw Batman Begins, like I was so moved by it that I wanted to be in the industry. Like I was like, this is such a cool film.
Man, and of course, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, or you mentioned in California, I mean, have you been able to work under a lot of directors out there, or been able to be around the like the BTS behind the scenes?
Not really. I mean, I've kind of been doing my own independent films. I'd love to like study under a big director sometime. Like that would be amazing. But I did. I have met Tarsum Singh,
Okay.
who's like a big director, and yeah, no, I go to Q&A sometimes. Like, so I saw, was it James Gray, the guy who did Ad Astra? I saw him speak at a Q&A, and yeah, no, I love gonna film events.
Okay, man. What I mean, and of course, I mean, being a filmmaker, because a lot of it, kind of like in the indie music, you can't, you got to work. You can't just do indie films and make a living. I mean, for the most part, some people are able to make it, but I mean, when it comes to holding a job, I mean, what are you in that profession? Are you like in the industry as well?
Yeah, I am and I'm not. Like I'm not like a mainstream filmmaker, but I'm lucky that I can make films and I do commercials as well.
Oh, okay,
So I
okay.
produce and direct. Like I've done a couple of businesses recently, like a grocery store, a chain. But yeah, I just I always try and get film jobs. It's a hard industry though, man. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's tough.
No, and I was gonna say because I mean it kind of makes sense. That way you can kind of make those to help you make these, right? I mean, as far as what you're working
Yeah,
on. Yeah,
and
pretty cool, man.
but yeah,
And
no, it's a hard industry for sure.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I know having done this like a year and a half, like I mentioned, I met a lot of people, and like more and more are popping up, and I'm thinking like, man, I mean, it's a small, it's a big community when it comes to filmmakers, because there's a lot of, a lot of guys out there, men and women doing it, but at the same time, it's still a small community where, people kind of know each other, especially local or in the area, and that's kind of like I was saying earlier, it's great that, people get along and work together and help each other, because everybody's trying to make it, and when it comes to the industry, it's got it's got to be tough. I mean, be able to get something out there that wants to somebody wants to pick up and actually put money behind, and help you give that push.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I've been pitching scripts for years and years. Like, I've gone to film markets, like I've tried to find investors here and there. Like, it's a long road, man.
No,
but I love doing it, so I'm not.
No, yeah. You see, and that's why a lot of it, I mentioned earlier, when it comes to combat sports, I always, back when I started, or even like throughout the years, I've always had guys, men and women like, oh man, I want to start fighting, and, how much did it pay? And I'm like, man, if you're already thinking money, like, it's not the right place, because even in fighting, people are like, oh, you got a title, it's regional, it's not like UFC or, big money. So you're still making a couple of hundred. It's not even, I mean, it's one of those things you gotta do it if you want to. If you love it, definitely it's great. But if you're trying to shoot for big money right away, it doesn't happen. I mean, it happens every once in a long while, but it's not it's not everybody.
Yeah, not everyone's Conor McGregor, right? Like,
yeah, oh yeah. You can't come in with a total package, man. And even him, he fought for years in the UK, and that side of the in Europe, when it came to MMA. So I mean, he already had a couple years under him, but he came out here to the UFC and branded himself properly. He put himself out there, and of course, he started turning heads and winning titles. So it worked for him, So I mean, right now, I think this last fight he pulled out of it for injury. But I mean, from what I heard, he's already a millionaire. So good for him, man.
Yeah, no, he's more than a millionaire, man. I was reading like he was the highest paid athlete in the world or something one year. Like, it's crazy.
Because even I think it was his beer company that he started. Like, I mean, he sold it, So I mean, smart man. It's just like with a lot of labels out there, you can't really drag them out too long. It's like people bring up like the brand Tap Out. They did great. They bought it out once they sold it or did what they had to. They had to. They bought other companies and kept going, but it's just tragedy when it happened. For the death of Mask, of course, and it just after that, it just the guys didn't pursue anything else. But
a lot of these athletes are smart business people. Like they know how to, like, even Ryan Reynolds is a good example.
Oh man, I mean, they're and you have to be. I mean, even now, like I talk to actors. I do a lot of conventions, and a lot of these actors of past movies, they're like trying to put themselves out there, and they're older. I mean, I'll be 50 this year, so I'm old. But a lot of them are older, and it's like they don't understand the whole social media. So I kind of try to walk them through it, and I'm like trying to tell them, like, man, you got to put yourself out there. You got to network. You got to let people know you're still doing this, because, people are like, oh yeah, I remember him from that movie back in the 80s, and he hasn't, they haven't done anything in years. And it's like, well, you kind of die under the, the wave of everything else going on. So, but yeah, man, you got to network, promote yourself. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, I'll say that, even for myself, I try to do this, and people are like, man, I mean, you do this full time. And I'm like, no, man, I mean, this is, I do this part time, but it's just, I want to do it full time. I mean, my job allows me to get away for every once in a while. So if I got to travel or go somewhere for a film, I can. It's just, if I got to work, if I want money, I got to work. So in other words, it's just not, it's a give and take, man.
No, it's great, man. No, you're doing well. I mean, the amount of followers you have, it's amazing for just a year and a half.
No, I have been enjoying this. And for the most part, like when it comes to conversations or interviews, I've been getting a lot of great, feedback. I mean, I myself, I'll watch some of these episodes and I'm like, man, that was a good episode, and it's just, that's what I want. I want good conversations. I want good back and forth, to where it's just, I don't want to have a list of like 10 questions. Okay, question 2, here we go. And it's just, it's natural, man. So of course, whatever feedback I get, I definitely appreciate it.
No, of course, man. Yeah. And I guess you must love horror movies as well, right?
No, man. I mean, you're doing it, bro. I mean, I've been following you. I've been looking at the past work you've done. This one, of course, I'm going to be bringing up, or I might as well bring it up now. But this is the film. the Seductress from Hell. No, I've been looking at your page. For those watching this, of course, they can go to your Facebook page, the Seductress from Hell on Facebook. I mean, when it comes to the movie itself, I've been seeing how you've gotten a lot of influence. From Maniac Cop was one of them, from The Exorcist, and of course, like you mentioned earlier, all these films that inspired you. So now you're kind of using that to motivate you and create your own film.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky, and I have great collaborators too. Like I was on a call with our composer this morning. We're working on another project. It's like a claymation short film, and he's a genius. Like Seductress from Hell soundtrack, he has like trance, like synth, like jazz, horror music. Like it's so good. Like his score is incredible.
Nice, bro. You see, and of course, I mean, is this somebody that you've been working with for a while already?
Yeah, he did my first short film, Just One Drink. So I've known him almost 10 years now.
Nice. You see, and I was gonna say, because a lot of it, a lot of people keep working. Like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to a cast, a lot of filmmakers keep reusing the same actors, and one of the biggest things I get, because I was curious about it myself, because I'm like, man, you got the same, and they're like, man, well, I can depend on them. If I say, hey, I'm gonna shoot here, they make themselves available, and I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense, because you can't hold back and be like, okay, well, we can't shoot for another 2 months. It's like, no, man, when they're ready to go, they're available, and that's kind of what they want. I've been pushing myself to acting here as an extra, and I've gotten like calls from Netflix episodes, and so I'm excited. I want to definitely try it and go out there to see what I can do with this. But maybe it becomes something, then great. But if not, I still have my job, so I'm good.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm a big believer in life. You have to try. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't try, nothing's gonna happen.
No, for sure, man. For me, like I mentioned, I'm going to be 50 this year, and it's surreal, man. I was a knucklehead growing up. I got in a lot of trouble and did stupid things, as a young man, and I'm glad I learned from them. But I mean, at the same time, it's just like surreal, because even my friends now, they're like older than me. They're like 51 or 52, and I'm like, damn, dude, like, we didn't look that far ahead. We're kind of like, well, this is it. We're just gonna do what we want, and now that we're out here, we own homes and have a mortgage and have, car payments. It's like, now we're adults, it's crazy, but we're making it happen though, man.
No, it's great, man. And I love movies, man. Like it's.
Yeah. No, you see, and of course, I mean, being an actor, I mean, the movies that you've acted in, have they all been your movies?
No, I've never. I guess Just One Drink. So I've actually quit acting now for quite a while. Like I'm just focusing. Almost 7 years now, I think I've just quit acting. So I just focus full time on writing and directing. We're trying to write and direct.
Yeah, and then I was going to ask you about that. I mean, between all of them, I mean, is writing and directing like the biggest? That's what your goal is?
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, I
have produced as well.
Okay.
Like,
well, let me ask you this, because just like when you say you've worked on commercials, and of course they pay. If acting roles were to come up, and I mean, of course, that was a way to make money. I mean, would you do that as well, just to kind of finance yourself?
I would, for sure, but I guess like acting is like, it's hard to even get those jobs. You know what I mean? Like you have to spend so much time auditioning, going to acting class, which costs money too, doing headshots. Like acting is almost a full-time thing, even when you're not working. So it's like I wouldn't, even if I wanted to act, I wouldn't have time to do it.
No, that's true. I mean, yeah, for sure, man. Because even with a lot of the friends that I have, when it comes to fighting, they got to keep training, and a lot of them, it's a lot of them usually work night jobs just so they can train during the day and be able to do what they want, But it's a tough road, man. I mean, for those that do it, more power to them. But it's like having 2 full-time jobs,
Yeah, no, it's hard, man. I think it was Orson Welles. He said like, I spend 90% of my time looking for money to make movies, or something like that. And he was a big director, so imagine what it's like for independent filmmakers.
No, yeah. I mean, and it's amazing, because even I mean, like you said earlier, for the fact that you guys are still doing it, even though it's that tough, man. I mean, it shows that how much you guys love this, because otherwise, I mean, it wouldn't be happening. I mean, a lot of these fighters, the promoters, I mean, when they're out there and they're all trying to network and sell tickets, and I'm trying to help, because I'm like, man, I want them to make it so that, fighters can get opportunities and be able to fight and get paid as well, but it's a dog world, man, because everybody's looking for sponsors. Everybody's looking for, investors. And it's just, you can land one great, You know, it's a tough business.
For sure. No, I love that film Warrior. Have you seen it?
Yes, bro. Yes, and I actually saw it the other day, man. I was scrolling to I don't know if it was one of the stream services that's on the TV, but it popped up, and I was like, oh man, and not that I forgot about it, but when it popped up, I was like, man, I gotta watch this. It's been a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I've seen it a few times. It's a good film. It's a very good
No, no,
film.
yeah, man. By all means, the storyline's great. You know, the acting, I liked it, man. It's one of those that you can actually sit through. You know, I saw one the other day, and it was on fighting, and it was Misha Tate and Holly Holmes, right? UFC fighters, and it wasn't a bad film. It was just it was very low budget, which is great. I love it. I love indie films. I love, but it just it was missing a lot, and it's just it didn't do anything for me. I sat through it though, but it was just being a fight fan, I was like, man, I gotta watch this, and it was tough to watch, man. It wasn't that great, but it was good though.
Have you seen Roadhouse, the new one?
I have my take on that one, man. I'm real like when I was watching it, I did the mistake of trying to compare it to the original one. And that's one thing I've always like, man, I'm gonna clear my mind and I'm not even gonna think about it because I want to, be able to actually watch this and enjoy it. And I didn't do that. So when I watched it, I kept comparing it, and it's just it wasn't a good experience for me, as far as like, but it was good though, man. I mean, the fact that they got out there. I was watching that UFC pay-per-view when they shot that one fight, with the actors, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. It was different. The fact that they actually had it on the UFC event and it was part of the movie. I mean, the crowd was there, everybody was hyped, so it kind of made sense, But cool opportunity, man.
That's great. No, I haven't seen the original, so I have nothing to compare it to. But I heard it's good.
The original Patrick Swayze, man, it's a classic. It's just one. Like The Outsiders and a lot of the other films that he's been in. It's just it's a great actor, so. It's just I just kept comparing it back and forth, and I was like, oh man, like I shouldn't have done that. It's just because of that I kind of ruined it. But I did watch it again afterwards, and it was good, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was a good film.
I like Patrick Swayze a lot. Like I like Ghost is a great one. Point Break is a classic too, man.
Oh, bro, yes. You see, and those movies are the ones that I'm like, man, because of him, I probably wanted to be in the gang, a surfer, growing up, man. I always wanted. He actually portrayed him pretty well, man. And the fact that the guy was limber. I don't know if he ever did gymnastics. I know he used to dance, but he was always limber, man. So I was just like, wow, it was amazing watching him, do what he did.
Yeah, it was very sad that he died young. It was very.
Yes, bro. Yes. And that's one of those things where, it goes back to like, we never know, it's just, I mean, for the most part, like, I've had friends, like I said, I'm going to hit the big 50 this year. And it's like, I've had friends that, passed away at 30, early 40s, heavy drinking, heavy smoking. And I'm like, man, it's a sad reality, but it's just, I mean, for me, it's just, I want to, like I've done a few perks when it comes to indie films. I'm still shooting for that one episode, hopefully be an extra, but for me, like being on a movie or being somewhere, like it's kind of like I want my grandkids, my great grandkids to be like, oh man, that was grandpa, I want to be able to see me even after life, and that's kind of one of the things I'm pursuing, man.
That's amazing. That's how I feel about film too. It's like when I see these classic films, like these people died like decades ago, but we're still watching their movies.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
Because of that, and it's like as a matter of fact, today somebody was telling me about a musician that passed away, and I forgot the name, but and I was just like, man, that's crazy because I was like recently, and they were like, no, it's like a couple years back, and it's just one of those things that lives forever because their music, we listen to it so much that we don't really think about it, but I mean, they live on through their music, through their work, what they loved. But yeah, man, it's amazing, man. It's just the fact that you guys can go out there and pursue and do what you do, man. Gotta hand it to you, man. You guys do a great job, bro.
I appreciate that, man. But I gotta hand it to you as well, man. I mean, you're working really hard too, like.
No,
it's a hustle,
I was gonna say the hustle is real. I'm out there. I'm definitely constantly attending events, going wherever I'm invited to when it comes to behind the scenes. Just opportunities. And that's one of the things. Before COVID, I had actually done 2 auditions that I didn't get. But I was just like, let me go try it. I just saw one day online. I think it was on Facebook actually, and I went and showed up, and it wasn't great for me. I just kind of like I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, okay, with the next one, drove to Austin of all things and did another audition, and it was just for like a regular. It was an indie film, but I was just like, man, let me try this. I was so self-employed. Took the day off. But after COVID, I guess it got busy. I was a contract delivery driver, so I stayed busy throughout the whole you know ordeal. But after that, I was just like, man, whatever opportunity comes, I'm gonna take it. I don't care if I hope I don't do that bad, but it's just like opportunities, from being a commentator, like on these fights that I attend to, a lot of the voice perks that I get. I'm just trying to get out there and do what I can, do the best I can, and see where it goes.
Yeah, that's my motto, man. It's like you only in life, all you can do is try your best.
Yeah. No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, like yourself, you said when you had your first film, you were able to get some good talent on there, to help you out. But I mean, I'm sure, you have learned and you're still learning.
Mm-hmm.
It's endless, because a lot of times you're like, man, I should have done this, or I could have used this camera, or with that being said, man, I got to ask you, are you your own worst critic when it comes to watching your films?
I think so, but I also like look at it and appreciate it too. It's like, okay, that was a good, we did a good job on that, and like, yeah, we could have done something better there. So yeah, I guess both. Like I criticize, but I also like to praise as well.
And of course, I mean, when it comes to this film, because you actually have some good names on this film, tell us some of the actors that are going to be jumping on there, man.
So we're very lucky, man. Yeah, Jason Faunt, famous Red Ranger. He was great to work with. He plays a very villainous role in this. It's a different character for him, but he does a great job. And
nice, man.
Really good. James Hyde, who's also in, I think, Monarca. It's like a show on Netflix. He's in that, and famous actor as well. Like he plays a producer. Does a great job in it as well. And then Andy Lauer, like he was in Screamers, and like he's had roles in like Born on the 4th of July. Great actor as well.
Because I mean, I looked everybody up, and of course, I knew who the Power Ranger was. Of course, everybody else, I remember their faces and I remember their names. But I did look them up, and it's talent, man. The fact that they're still doing other projects, and of course, it's when it comes to being an actor, you can jump on so many films throughout the year, because a lot of them, I guess, unless it's like a lead role or something where you're going to be there for a while, but for everybody else that they do small parts, they can do a couple hundred films a year, probably, if they could,
Yeah, I think Eric Roberts is one of those actors that does like so many projects.
No, yes, that guy's everywhere, man. I mean, which is great, definitely puts himself out there. I know this weekend we had not we, but I mean the promoter, he had brought in Robert Mukes from he's worked with Rob Zombie. He's done a lot of indie films, man. And like when I looked him up, I was like, man, he had a list, but I was like, okay, it's just opportunity, I mean, he's still trying to make it back to the big screen, and I mean, wish him the best, I mean, I hope everybody, like I said, I hope everybody makes it, and it's just one of those goals where if when the time is right, it'll happen.
Yeah, for sure, man. And yeah, we're lucky we have a lot of great up and coming people like Raj Jawa. He's one of the actors in it. He's very talented. Kylie, she's very talented. Rosie is very talented. Like, yeah, it's a really good cast of like up and comers and more established people as well.
No, and let me ask you, I mean, of course, going back to like getting that opportunity, because when you get these new faces, actors, actresses that want to jump on, what do you normally do? Do you kind of go and look through their as far as what they've done past film, or do you have them audition?
Yeah, so I have them audition and also callback. So like we asked to have videotapes they're sent in, like, so we watch these tapes, we give them like maybe a couple of scenes or a couple of pages, and then the people that we really like, we'll call them in person, and then we'll like read with them and work with them, give them direction, see how they respond, and then
sweet, bro. And I mean, of course, being that you are the writer, I mean, you already know what you want in the character. So I mean, has there ever been a role that you had for somebody and they do it differently and you just enjoyed it, that you kept it?
Yeah, I guess like with Jason, the character's written as like a really bad villain, but we wanted to make him multi-dimensional, like, because it's more interesting. And yeah, he brought humanity to the role too, so it's like
nice.
A lot of times we workshop things out,
Yeah. No, you see, and then those are I guess somebody had called it like a happy accident, because they're like, man, well, we're shooting for this, but because they brought this in with it. Like we were like, man, they just went with it and it worked out. So that's always great.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. I love the collaboration because you never know what's going to happen. Like you may think, oh, this scene shouldn't be like that. We should do it differently and try it on the day.
And for sure, and of course, I mean, when they came to the film, I mean, was it shot mostly in California?
Yeah, it was all shot in LA.
Oh, okay. And I mean, when it comes to locations, how do you normally go about doing that? I mean, do you know people that own like buildings and offices and?
Not really. It's like a lot of brainstorming. So like one of the main locations, like one of the producers lives there. So that was how we got that location. Then another one was like we rented a soundstage in Burbank. So like, because I had worked there before for another project a couple of years ago. So I knew that, and like they gave us a great deal. And then what was the other location? Then another person's apartment. So it's just kind of, you kind of write with locations in mind. Like I know I have someone's can give me something, so I'll write that in the script. So.
Nice, bro. And that always helps out because that even in the big films, where they say a lot of times they use their own vehicles because they're like, man, we're looking for this kind of vehicle, and they're like, man, that's what I'm driving, and they just put it in the movie, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've done that too. We've used actors' vehicles,
Yeah. No, yeah. I think for one here locally, man, I jumped on and I took my girl's truck actually because mine was in the shop, and when I got there, they were like, hey, well, can we use your vehicle? And I'm like, yeah, so they're always driving, I was like, cool, man. But she was happy about it. She was excited. So I was like, all right, cool, man. Get your movie, your truck in the movie, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, a lot of these cars or any locations are very expensive, man. Like they go for like 10,000 a day. Some locations, it's crazy.
No, yes, bro, and that's why I was asking because I know a lot of times, especially like here in San Antonio, there's a lot of properties. A lot of people that own like acres, and they have empty buildings, empty lots, empty, and so it's perfect. If you know somebody like that, it's just a matter of like asking them, and okay, yeah, get a waiver, sign it, go out there and start filming. But I'm actually supposed to be going to one of the movie makers' property out on the south side. So I'm hoping, because they said they got a couple acres, and it's around this supposedly haunted bridge that's here locally. So I want to go out there and check it out, and of course see the property, But I'll take a walk out there and see what I can see.
That's awesome. Yeah, maybe get a camera, do a found footage short film or something.
I know, man. That's I'm always got my camera on me just because of that. Because it's like I tell people, even now, like I'm doing, I'm shooting video. I'm not doing movies, but I shoot a lot of video, and it's just stock photos. I see something that catches my eye. I go back later and I'll take that shot, and it's just, I enjoy it, man.
Yeah, cinematography is a great art form, man.
Oh yeah, you see, I mean, for me, it started. I was always that guy with the instant camera, way back when. Of course, I said I'm in my 50s, so having to take film, develop it, get it back 3 weeks later, I've been through all that. But now digital, I mean, of course, took over, and it just got easier. And when I started shooting, I actually went and got me a Nikon D7000, and my buddy was like, hey, you want to help me with this promotion? I mean, for a media company, right, to cover MMA and combat sports. And that was it, man. I mean, I was shooting great, and people loved them, and I loved them. So I said, all right, I think I got something here, man. And I just kept shooting, But I enjoy it though. It's definitely something that's therapeutical. I go out there, and it's just like this. I enjoy doing it because you get to talk and meet people, and it's always great, man.
For sure, man. Yeah, I play video games. It's like my.
What do you play, bro? Let me ask you.
So right now I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Have you played it?
Oh, yes. Okay. Because of course I was asking because of the age barrier, man, because I'm still like, let me show you real quick, man. I mean, this is a prototype, but I play this, bro. I play Nintendo, bro.
Oh, nice, man. That's sick.
But these are, my buddy here does these, but they're like 3D print. But what I have them do is put the movie covers from the actors that come through for the conventions, and then I have them sign it. So they're so I collect them, it's just my little perk, and it's just every time they see them, they're like, man, that was a movie, that was a game. And I said, nah, bro. They never made it a game. It's just, something different. But yeah, Nintendo's where I stopped, bro. I know PlayStation, when it came out, I think it was my younger brother that had one, and I didn't pursue it after that. But yeah, I see it out there though, man. I mean, it's definitely it's gotten bigger, there's a lot better images gotten better, of course, so that's always good.
Well, yeah, I play Nintendo too. I just completed the new Zelda game. It was amazing.
Damn, bro. You see, and when it comes to that, man, I mean, Zelda I played. I think it was my either not a Game Boy, it was a Dreamcast. I don't know which one it was, but I know my other brother had one, and I remember because when it first came out, he went crazy with it. But it was good, man. It was a great game. It's just for me now. It's just a matter of finding something that I like. But the UFC games are good. I'll definitely go on there and play a few of those.
Yeah, I haven't played those. I played Dragon Ball Z because I'm a big anime fan, especially
No.
Dragon Ball.
You see, and that's yeah. I mean, Dragon Ball Z, I picked up on. They're gonna have a convention here, like in a month or two, and they're gonna bring a couple of the voice actors.
Oh,
I think
really?
from
From Dragon
Canada,
Ball Z?
yeah, they're gonna be out here, and so it'll be cool, man. I've met a few of them already through conventions, and it's always great to Frieza, I think was one of them, and just it's amazing because you hear them and you're like, damn, it's some older dude now, doing the voice, but gotta respect it, man.
Yeah, man. Dragon Ball Z is huge, man. The amount of fans that are out there, it's incredible.
No, yes, bro. I mean, they get bigger every year. I mean, of course, they keep. I think here they had like one of the original voice actors, and then they had the newer one, and it's just everybody went crazy though. I'll say that because even when it comes to conventions, I noticed like when it comes to anime, man, they get crazy packed. I mean, they get bro. Like I was like, damn, there's a lot of people. When the horror conventions come through, there's a lot of people, but anime knocks that out the out the park, man. I mean, those youngsters or even adults go crazy for it, so that's great, man.
Yeah, no, man. When I went to see Dragon Ball in theaters, it's like all ages, because
Yeah.
people have been watching it for 40 years.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's me. I mean, when I started, I think it was mid '90s when I started watching, and it's just something that as the years came by, I still kept watching the old episodes, but it just kept going and going, and you gotta love it, man. It's a good stuff, man.
Yeah, I love Dragon Ball, man. It's one of my favorites.
Man, and of course, bro. I mean, this film, what as far as the trailer, but I mean the film itself. I mean, where can people find it at?
So right now we're on the film festival circuit, probably for the rest of the year, and then yeah, we're seeing what our options are of releasing it. Like, hopefully we'll get in theaters. That's the dream.
Yes.
And yeah, hopefully streaming as well. So yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram. So if people want to stay updated, they can.
No, for sure. And I already have the website on here as well because the website. I mean, are all the plugs on there as well?
Yeah, all the social media is on there: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everything's
Sweet,
there.
man. And of course, I mean, who runs your social media, man? You got somebody doing that for you guys?
I'm actually doing it.
Oh,
So
I was gonna say you're still at to where you got to do everything yourself, right?
yeah, I mean, I've done that as a day job over the years. Social media, it's kind of like my day job.
Oh, okay.
When I'm not filmmaking, so.
Oh, nice, man. You see, I actually, yeah, it's the same thing with the combat sports. There was two promotions. I used to run their social media outlets way back when. But they, depending on, well, I mean, with ticket sales, they always paid me out per ticket. And I mean, I did great, but I mean, I would do their photos, I would do their video, lining everything up, getting the fighters linked up. I mean, I sold seeds, bro. I mean, I was definitely a networking. I do the same thing with the fighters. A lot of some of the guys that are in the UFC. Help them out, and it's a full-time job, man. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of them all they do is train and fight, and it's like they don't have time for social media, man. So that's kind of where I come in. Help them out and push your name out there.
That's awesome. But yeah, you're right, man. Social media, like, it takes even half an hour to do one post, right? You have to think it through, find the photo, whatever.
No, I was telling my buddy that the other day too, because he was all like, "Oh man, I saw you post that video," and I said, "Man, that thing took me like an hour, bro." I said I kept going back and have to change, and I said I wish it was that simple, but it's just like, man, you got to edit and put, like I finished and I'm like, crap, I forgot my logo, and I was like, man, there I go, having to go back, and I said, but yeah, it's a full-time job, man. I enjoy it though, so definitely, I keep picking at it, but it's just. It's a lot of work, even now, like I get a lot of local podcasters, and for the most part, like nobody's doing what I'm doing when it comes to horror and, covering events, getting you guys on here. So, but it's like, I see what they do and I enjoy it. It's not my taste, like the same thing, like I tell people, even with this, people might not like it, and that's okay. It's not for everybody, but for the most part, it's just I always tell them, I was like, man, you gotta, if you enjoy it, I said, keep going, man. You're gonna keep learning. My first episodes were audio and they were horrible, but I was just like, man, I just kept going with it. And now it's just having fun and, getting that interaction going.
It's amazing. I haven't used StreamYard before, but it's great from what I'm seeing.
No, yes, bro. And I keep plugging that into like even the podcaster because they're like, oh, I've got I forgot what the one that I was using before this, but it was, man, that thing was like trying to, fly a rocket to space, man. I was just like, damn, it was hard. It was a lot of work. And with this, it's just like lining everything up, hitting the one button and let's go, man. So I enjoy it, because of that, it's easy. I'm able to put the my sponsor logos out there and just, advertise. I mean, it's great, but it's definitely a great platform. There's another one that popped up the other day, and not that I was gonna switch, but I saw it and I was like, man, there's kind of the same thing, but with them, I think you were able to do a couple of like image. I don't know. They were doing like the backdrop. There was a lot of change because I can put video back there, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do on this, and I just keep it basic, but it's a great platform, man, for anybody out there watching, man. Definitely great.
No, it seems great, and I like the Piranha poster, man. That's a good film.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Man, I'm going through this phase where I've got like all my posters, like with the name itself. People keep asking me coming soon, and I got it from like the movies, the movie posters from the video store, coming soon to VHS, coming soon to DVD, and it's just something that it's a keyword, coming soon's everywhere, when it comes to music, movies.
Yeah.
So I liked it, but all my posters, like in my room, are off from video stores. It's like they got cuts and wrinkles, and it's just they've been through hell, but nostalgia, man, I like it.
Yeah, same, man. No, that's why we love it, right? Movies, the
Oh
nostalgia.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned some good ones earlier. I mean, for me, growing up, I mean, we didn't have cable as a kid, so for us, like we used to watch a lot of reruns. So because of that, I got to watch a lot of black and white when it comes to Alfred Hitchcock, Twilight Zone and black and white, a lot of classics, man. So I'm kind of grateful because I was able to experience that. And then once we got cable, I started watching all the newer stuff, and it was just like, okay, I kind of got the best of both worlds, and because of that, I think my sense of humor, it's because of that era, everything I've been through when it comes to horror comedy. I'm a big horror comedy buff, man. Like, I mean, if it's funny and it's blood, I'll watch it. It's cool. That's my thing. Return of the Living Dead. I mean, you got Shopping Mall. You got all these great films. I enjoy them, man. So I'm gonna keep watching them.
Me too. In fact, I was just rewatching Gremlins. That's a horror comedy.
Oh yes, bro. You seen somebody had told me about that because they were like, "Hey, man, would that be considered a horror comedy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bro. Because there's jump scares that I mean, as a kid when I first saw it, I was jumping every few minutes because I mean we didn't know what was going on, but there was a lot of humor in it. So I'm like, man, let me ask you this: would you consider that a Christmas movie?
I guess, because I mean,
Right?
it does take place at Christmas in the snow, right?
Yeah. And there was during that time. I know somebody asked me one time, and I had to think about it, but I was like, I guess so, because it was during the Christmas season, So who's to say, man? But that's good though.
Even Krampus, that's like a Christmas film, right?
Yeah. Oh
It's like a
yeah.
horror comedy too.
Yeah. You see, and there's a bunch. I know there's a few out there. Well, there's a lot out there as far as remaking that movie, and I think it's Terrifier 3. It's around Christmas, the whole season. So that one's coming up in October. There's a lot of indie films that I've been watching, man. One's off on the Rooftop is another one that's filmed here in Texas, and that it's pretty good, man. I enjoy it. It kind of puts like meshes everything up when it comes to Halloween time and Christmas time. So it's fun.
That's amazing, man. No, I'm always loving to find out about new films. Do you have any recommendations?
Oh yeah, I mean, and I was going to ask you about that because, of course, I mean, I know you're busy, making your own projects, but there are other filmmakers out there that you work with that that have projects out there, coming out.
Not that I know of, like, but I mean, I can always ask around, like.
Yeah. No, yeah, because I mean, even here, like I know a lot of people they cross network, they work together, so it's like when they're finished with theirs, they jump over and help them, and it's just like an ongoing, but that's why I always ask because I'm like, man, there's a lot of films out there, and I'm like I said earlier, I hope everybody makes it. You had brought up like trying to get your film in the big screen, and that's one of those things where a lot of people, what's it, I forgot. Not for I went blank for the movie that came out like a few weeks back. A Violent Nature.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. I didn't see it though. Is it
Yeah.
good?
You see, well, I saw it, and for me, it didn't do it for me. I mean, I enjoyed it. I sat through it, but it just wasn't something that I liked, But I mean, but the reason I'm saying that though is because I'm so glad that they were able to get that opportunity. Like I
Mm.
hope, man, with theaters closing and not doing so great, I mean, it'd be smart for them to get indie films in there, and that's why I was just like, man, I mean, that's perfect, I mean, I would go watch. Even Deer Camp 86, which is another one, I went out there and I was just like, you know what, man, like I'm gonna go and support it, man, because that's what I love, and I want to, they get that opportunity. Like I hope they make it.
Yeah, same man. I love going to the theaters, man. I go on Tuesday. It's like the half price day.
And I was doing that here for a while, and then they started keeping me late on Tuesday, so I was like, oh man, like I'm ready to go right after work. That way I can come home and put the dogs out and take care of home, But yeah, man. Hopefully they'll change it back, bro. Because I miss going out there during the week, though.
Yeah, it's nice, man. What did I see? The Omen, the new Omen film's really good. The first Omen.
No. You see, and there's quite a few already coming out, and I'm looking forward to this year. But man, I mean, of course, when it comes to your film, I mean, streaming. You mentioned that earlier. I mean, have you been already talking to like streamers out there as far as the companies?
So yeah, I did a feature called The Bestowel like 6 years ago now. So that got on streaming. That was on like Amazon, Tubi, Google Play. So like yeah, I've worked with the distributor Indie Rights.
Right.
So I'm talking to them as well. But right now we're like focusing because we're trying to build the brand. So we're like the more festivals we screen at, like the more people know about the film, because we're still like an independent film. Like we need to get the word out there before anything happens,
No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, locally, was that the first? I mean, did you guys show it locally first?
We had a private like cast and crew screening, and right now we're like waiting on a lot of festivals. So we have one in October. We're not allowed to say which one yet. And yeah, we have a lot of pending applications, so we're just doing our best,
Nice, bro. Well, man, I hope they definitely come through, man, because I mean, like you said, I mean, building it up and getting it out there in front of people before, getting that opportunity to put it on the big screen, definitely create a buzz and have everybody go out there and check it out, man. But tell us, I mean, when it comes to the Seductress from Hell, man, what is the synopsis on it?
So basically, it's about this like young actress whose husband like he's a very bad guy, and like one day she kind of snaps and like takes revenge on him, and then like becomes this. It's kind of like Maniac Cop in the sense that like he was once a good cop and then he like snapped and became a villain. So it's kind of like that premise, and then yeah, she just becomes like this evil seductress and targets people and like she's a really bad villain.
No, you see, and then that's kind of one of those things where in life, I mean, unfortunately, it does happen. Some people have that breaking point where, they snap and, bad things happen, man. But yeah, I mean, of course, when it comes to the actors, I mean, like you said, a lot of them were dead on. They did great, how were they able to see it when you guys showed it, of course, right? I mean, it was a private screening.
Yeah.
So, and what was their thoughts? I mean, what did they think about the film?
They loved it, man. The people like have seen it. Not everyone could come because I think some people were filming or whatever.
Right.
But the people that came, like, they loved it.
Nice.
The critical, we had some great reviews as well from critics.
Yeah. You see, and that's what I was asking earlier. I mean, are you your own critic? Because I mean, you got to see it for the first time. I mean, what was your take on it, man?
I loved it, man. I mean, seeing it on the big screen, surround sound, it was like a dream come true. It's like beautiful.
Sweet, man. No, you see, and that's pretty much like, I mean, when it comes to like doing what you're doing, I mean, that's what you do it, because you want to be able to put it out there and like let everybody else enjoy it. Because one of the filmmakers that I was talking to a while back, he was like, man, I was so nervous that when the parts that I put to be funny came up and everybody started laughing, he said, man, I was so relieved because I was like, okay, they got it, but it was just like one of those things where it's like, I mean, like earlier, like I said, a lot of people don't have my sense of humor, but it's just when it comes to people that I know and hear, I'll say something funny and they laugh and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm a funny guy, but it's just I do it around younger kids or younger people and they don't get it, man. I'm like,
yeah, you're right. Everyone has different tastes, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. You see, my kids are the same. I mean, they're both, I raised them both, but my youngest, she's got my sense of humor. So when I say something, like she cracks it, or she'll say something and she's got me laughing. My oldest, she doesn't It's like I tell her, I say, you got your mom's sense of humor, man. It's not good. But they're good kids, though, man. Definitely out there making it. And I was gonna say this too because my oldest, she had a cell phone before I did. Like, I mean, I was still a caveman. I was still like, making wheels out of rock and stuff, right? But my oldest had an iPhone, and she was making films. And this was maybe like, man, she was like 8. She's 22 right now. But I would go home and she's like, "Hey, Dad, look what we did." And it was like her and her sister, and she would like use her sister as a prop. And I'm just like looking at it like, man, who did this? And they're like, "Oh, I did. I used this and this." And I was blown away because I was like, man, I wish they would have kept with it. And even now, like I talked to them about art, and she was an artist, man. I mean, she could draw like, wow, dude. She used to do like blueprints when she was like in middle school, man. Like, I mean, she used to blow me away, and she just kind of got away from that. But I was just like, man, I wish she would have stayed on it.
That's a shame, man, because art's a great like.
Oh yeah, because like I will tell her, I said, man, even if you don't want to be an architect forever, I said you can do that to pursue something else. That'll make you your money, and you can pursue something and keep going. But she just didn't want to, and I was like, man, but hopefully, man, hopefully she'll get back on there, man. It's definitely she. I mean, she didn't get that from me. I'll say that because I can't even draw a straight line, man. But she killed it though. Definitely a lot of talent.
Maybe she'll come around, man. In time.
No, yeah. I hope so, man. She's a great kid though, so she definitely, has a future. It's just little things, when it comes to like as I've gotten older, I got away from a lot of things because I was like, okay, well, I'm an adult now. I got to do this, and it's like I don't want to say I forgot how to have fun, but it's just kind of now it's like I got to go back to that. Like, my kids are grown, nobody's here, and I'm like, you know what? I got to go out there and enjoy the day. Go and like the other day we were at work and there was like it was windy, and I told my boss. I mean, he's like younger than me, but I told him, I said, man, I should have brought a kite. And he was all like, dude, that would have been badass. Like, I mean, just to go out there and fly that kite outside the building. But it was a nice day though, man. It was windy, it was beautiful, and I was just like, man. But like stuff like that, we don't do that anymore, man. But we'll keep picking at it though, bro.
No, I agree though, man. Like, you should never lose the inner child within.
No, for sure, man. And of course, let me ask you this. I mean, when it comes to, I mean, earlier, you say you're a gamer, you enjoy playing games. I mean, is that a hobby? I mean, because I myself, I collect vintage figures. I have a lot of figures from the 80s, 90s, and, I collect a lot of them, dude. But I mean, are you a hobbyist yourself? Do you collect anything?
I don't really collect games, but I play a lot. Like, I just enjoy playing them in my free time, Like, it's great imagination for me, too.
No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, is that something? Are you on that? I think it's Twitch.
I'm not on Twitch. That's a streaming thing, right?
Yeah. And that's one of those. I know I got friends that when I first started doing the podcast, they were like, "Oh, well, you can do that on Twitch." But even that back then was a headache, bro. Like I couldn't, I never had anybody to show me, "Hey, do this or put this here," and I had to learn a lot of that on my own. I had a buddy of mine in Lockhart, which is like an hour and a half away, that I drove out to for him to show me how to just basically plug stuff in, but yeah, other than that, I mean, StreamYard, that's why I jumped on this. It was easy. A buddy of mine, Frank the Tank, he's a coach out there in Houston, man. He actually showed me, what he was doing. So I was like, man, I'm going to do it. So I'm glad because it's easy.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. I just play games on my own, to be honest. Like, I just play single player games.
No, yeah, because a lot of that stream, I mean, you get to play with other people, and it's just for the most part, I think it would be a headache. I'd rather just go home, put it on, and start playing.
Yeah, man. I've played games since I was a kid. Like,
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, same here, man. I just, like I said, I didn't adapt after a couple of years, man. I just stayed with the old ones, and even now, I've got like an Atari game in the back that still works. I've got games like 60-something games, Atari games, and it's all the classics, freaking old school blocks, asteroids and meteor and all that stuff, man. But I like it, it's just like I tell people, it helped me out because there was a lot of eye-hand coordination games, you had to like visualize, and so it helped with life, because I've done jobs where it's like, yeah, that was necessary. The same thing with Tetris. I know you play that game.
A little bit, yeah. It's fun, man.
You see that one, I always because I deliver furniture, and it's like I always tell people, if it wasn't for Tetris, I don't think I'll be able to do what I did, because you have to like visualize everything, and okay, it'll fit, I'll put this here, and I mean, working for the post office, loading trucks, unloading them, it was definitely a craft. You know, you had to know how to do that stuff, so it helped.
No, it's great, man. Yeah, Tetris, you have to like make sure every brick is like.
And it's like before it gets to the bottom, like you look at that piece and already you're like boom, boom, like it's just like eye-hand coordination, man. You got to be on it and start getting faster. So of course, it was fun. No, let me ask you this though, man. I mean, when it comes to this film, I mean, of course, you guys are going to be promoting it the rest of the year, correct?
Yeah, and probably early next year too.
And now let me ask you, because being a writer, do you already have stuff written down that you want to work on after this?
I have a sequel to this film where hopefully we can get funding for it and make it. That's
man,
the dream.
Okay. Sweet, man. Well, dude, that's great.
Thank you, man.
So, I mean, of course, so because of that, I mean, there's a cliffhanger. I mean, there's something that sweet, man. Heck yeah. Okay, that's cool. Something to look forward to, man.
So there's actually a post-credit scene in the film that leads to the next one.
Oh, sweet, man. Okay. Now you see, now I'm intrigued because, of course, you know, sequels, dude. I'm a big. I took down my posters, but I collect a lot of the part 2 when it comes to movies, like Gremlins 2. You know, people crap on it, you know, because it wasn't as great as the first one, but I appreciate it for what it was. You know, it wasn't like the best film out there, but I still watched it. You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, but I love part 2, man. You know, Bob Elmore, you know, got to play Leatherface, got to meet the dude.
Oh, nice.
So sequels, man. I'm a sucker for sequels, man.
Even Maniac Cop 2 is a good one too.
Yeah, you see, exactly, bro. You see, and then part 2, man. I saw that one and I was just like, man, okay. And I always wonder because, of course, I mean, when you make the first one, like yourself, you know, you made the first film, so now you're thinking, okay, you know what, I can do not so much that you can do better, but now I can add more, or I can do a little bit more. You know, it just makes sense, dude. So the sequel will definitely be a killer, man.
Thank you. And even Omen 2 and 3, those are great films too.
No, I agree. You know, there's so many. I mean, Critters. I mean, you've got shoot, man. I've got so many posters all over the studio, man. It's amazing. But I mean, there's so many movies out there, and even now because of you know, streams when it comes to like Tubi and, you know, YouTube, of course, is always my go-to. But I find films that I had no idea ever happened. I'm like, dude, they did a part 3 or part 4. Like, I'm like, damn, you know, it's just a lot of sleepers. You know, they didn't make the big screen, so of course we didn't hear about it.
It's like even Hellraiser. They made so many Hellraiser films, right?
No, yeah, you see, and I think it was 3 that I enjoyed. Part 1, it's kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like the first one, I love it for what it was. You know, it's a classic. It was great when it happened, but it's hard for me to go back and watch it. You know, I prefer watching part 2. I mean, that one's a little bit up to date, a little bit faster. You know, it's just. But that's just me, you know. But like I said, I mean, I still watch part 1. I've got like the original video rental VHS format, dude. So.
Oh, nice.
But yeah,
part 1 is dark, man. It's a twisted film.
Yeah. No, for sure, man. You see, and it's just. I mean, they get better, man. I mean, there's so many movies out there that I enjoy. A lot of indie films that I've been watching. A lot of them are killer, man. It's just the imagination that you guys have and put into it. I mean, it's, you know, it's definitely going out there and checking it out. So, I mean, of course, for those that are watching, following this, I mean, we're on 5 platforms. We're on X, which is Threads, of course, on YouTube. We're on Instagram Live. So, of course, those that are following up, you know, definitely go to the website, www.seductressfromhellmovie.com. Follow the guy. Definitely support. And, my man, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for jumping on this, bro. Is there anything
Thanks for having me
before we wrap this up, my man?
I mean, just thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it, man.
No, my pleasure, brother. And I hope to bring you back on here, man. But don't hang up yet. Everybody out there, of course, once again, Spider here, Coming Soon Podcast.